Hi there, I wanted to make this video to talk about some tips when you're working with leash walking with Bean.
Yes.
So leash walking, that can be a little more
Hey,
complicated than the rest of the
easy.
games, but once you really get a hang of it and you understand
Yes.
what you should and shouldn't be doing and what you
Easy
should and
there.
shouldn't look for,
Easy.
it really is quite simple. So let me try to explain that as best I can here in this video.
Yes.
So when you first start
Easy.
practicing leash walking with your dog, you're actually not going to want to take a full length walk.
Easy.
You're actually just going to want to take a small
Let's go.
space, probably about, I don't know, 20, 30 feet.
Easy.
And you're actually just going to walk back and forth in that line that you've created. And now I am being intentional about not working on the pavement, just because it is way too hot to walk them on the pavement, at least midday or evening time. So we're on the grass today in the shade. Anyways, so pick your line, about 20 to 30 foot line, and you're actually just going to walk that back and forth. And so every time, see how the leash is real nice and loose right now? That's what you want. You want to make sure you're not holding it too tight, because then you're not really giving her a chance to learn, and not giving her a chance to walk away from you, because every time she walks away from you or pulls or, stays behind sniffing something, that's a learning moment. You want to take that as a learning moment and use that to teach her what we want her to do instead. And so every time she willingly comes up to your side, and now remember, she's supposed to be on your left side. Left side is the proper way to heel. And you can add the word heel if you would like to. I encourage you to start using it if that is desired. So every time she comes up to your left hip willingly, you're going to say yes and then reward her. And then every time she looks up at you and checks in with you, you are also going to say yes and reward. And if you feel like, oh, I'm treating her way too much, we're stopping every 2 seconds, that's great. That's great, because that means she's doing a really good job, and she needs told that she's doing a really good job, because she doesn't fully understand yet that she is doing a good job, and so she needs to know that's exactly what I'm looking for. Here's a reward. And lucky for us, she is super food motivated, so this is highly encouraging for her, and putting that happy yes on there is also very encouraging for her. So as you're walking back and forth in your line, if she does start to get ahead of you, go ahead and turn around all the way to the other direction and start walking that way. If she does not come along with you, just keep walking. Keep a good pressure on the leash and keep pulling her. Ask her for a leave it if you have to, if she's stuck sniffing something. The most important thing is to just keep walking. Don't let her be the leader of the walk. Don't let her make the decisions and decide when it's time to stop or go ahead or whatever it is. You make the decisions, and you're leading this walk. So if she's sniffing something, staying behind, ask her for a leave it, let's go. And then as well as when you're taking off or starting to go on your walk, you say, let's go. So you notice after every time I give her a treat, she kind of sits down. I say, let's go. And so I'm the one deciding when we move forward. So as you're walking your line, your 20 to 30 foot line back and forth, once you get to the end, you're just going to turn around and you're going to turn away from her. And I like to add a little cue word for now to help her focus on me. I just tell her turn. So I just let her know that we're turning, and that helps her gain her focus. So here we're going to make it turn. Perfect. And I'm going to wait for her to come back to my side there. We're going to turn again. Perfect. And reward. So what I'm doing, if she gets ahead of me, is I'm going to turn around, walk the opposite direction. I'm never going to let her get anywhere by pulling me and leading me. And I am going to turn the opposite direction immediately, and we're going to walk that way until she's back at my hip. Then, once she's back at my hip, we're going to turn back into the direction we were originally going and continue on our way.
Easy.
Now, you want to make sure when you turn back in your original direction and she gets back on your hip, you reward that. So the turning in the opposite direction is kind of like a negative reinforcer. So like, hey, nope, we're not doing that. We're going to go this way now. And we're not going to return to going where we were until you get on my hip. And then the positive reinforcer reinforcer is turning back to your original direction
Good.
once she's back on your hip. Then we add another positive reinforcer for her getting back on your hip again in that original direction by giving her a treat. I know it sounds like a lot,
Great job, Amy.
and if you need me to show you this in person, I'm happy to.
Good. Yes.
Really, once you get the hang of it and once you understand what you're doing, because it is a learning process for both you and her, but once you understand what the game
job.
is, it really is quite simple. And so I hope
Yes.
this video helps you better understand what you should be doing
Easy.
and shouldn't be doing, and what you should be looking for from her,
Good.
which is focus. So every time she looks up at me, she is focused and being at your left hip. So every time she comes up to my hip, I'm going to say yes and reward her. So one thing I wanted to point out real quick was,
Good.
as you can notice, I'm stopping every time I give her a treat. I don't normally do this. I normally treat them as we're walking. However, because Bean takes treats so eagerly,
Easy.
I have to really focus and tell her easy and try to get her to focus so that she doesn't
Good.
accidentally
Let's
nip
go.
my hand. So it does take a little more time and a little more focus for us to
Yes.
take that treat gently.
Good girl.